Millionaire installs camera, sees why his maid is always tired. Raymond Cole was a man everyone in the city knew. A self-made millionaire, owner of several tech companies, and a face that often appeared on magazine covers, he lived in a sprawling glass mansion on the outskirts of Los Angeles. He had everything: wealth, fame, cars, and an image of perfection. But inside his mansion, there was silence. He lived alone. His wife had passed away 5 years earlier, and since then, he had focused all his energy on work. The only person who spoke to him daily was his maid, Maria, a quiet woman in her early 30s who had joined his staff 2 years ago. She never complained, never asked for anything, and always greeted him with the same polite smile. But recently, Raymond had begun to notice something strange. Maria seemed exhausted. Her eyes were often red. Her hands trembled as she carried the breakfast tray. Once, he even caught her dozing off while cleaning the hallway mirror. At first, he thought she was just lazy or careless. But then he remembered, Maria had never taken a day off, not once in 2 years. She worked tirelessly, from dawn until night. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The suspicion. One night, while going through his home security app, Raymond noticed something odd. The cameras covered every corner of his mansion, except for the servants' quarters at the back. It was Maria's room. He had never installed one there because he respected her privacy. But now, his instincts told him something was wrong. Why was she always so tired? Was she stealing? Was someone sneaking into his property at night? After days of inner conflict, he decided to find out. He ordered a small, hidden camera, disguised as a smoke detector, and installed it discreetly in Maria's room while she was out shopping for groceries. He told himself it was for security. But deep down, he knew it was curiosity. The footage. That night, he sat in his study, logged into the feed, and waited. At 9 p.m., Maria returned to her room. She looked exhausted, dropped her bag on the chair, and sat on the bed. For a long moment, she just stared at her hands, cracked, red, rough from cleaning chemicals. Then she did something strange. She opened a small drawer and took out a baby bottle. Raymond frowned. A baby bottle? Maria quietly walked to the corner of the room and lifted the blanket covering a small laundry basket. Underneath, was a baby. Raymond froze. It was a tiny girl, maybe 6 months old, sleeping soundly. Maria gently picked her up, kissed her forehead, and began to feed her. The millionaire leaned closer to the screen, his heart pounding. She had a baby, living secretly in his mansion. The hidden life. Over the next few nights, Raymond watched every recording. At dawn, before anyone woke up, Maria would feed and rock her baby until she fell asleep. Then she'd tuck her under the blankets and rush to start her cleaning duties. During the day, she'd sneak into her room during breaks, checking on her child, whispering lullabies, sometimes crying quietly while the baby slept. At night, after finishing all her work, she'd stay up taking care of her daughter, changing her, washing tiny clothes in the sink, praying softly before falling asleep beside her. She was barely sleeping 2 hours a night. Raymond felt something twist inside him. Guilt. Pity. And shame. He had suspected her of theft. But all she had stolen was a corner of his house to protect her child. The confrontation. The next morning, Raymond called Maria into his study. She walked in nervously, wringing her hands. "Sir, did I do something wrong?" He looked at her, silent for a moment, then asked, "Maria, how long have you been hiding your baby here?" Her face turned pale. Her lips trembled. I'm sorry, sir," she stammered, falling to her knees. "Please don't call the police. Please. I'll leave today. I had no one else. My husband died before she was born. I couldn't afford rent or daycare. If anyone found out, I'd lose this job. Please, sir," she's all I have." Tears streamed down her face as she begged. Raymond felt his throat tighten. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked quietly. "Because people like you don't understand people like me," she said, voice shaking. "You think we're careless, lazy. But I work hard because I have to. Not for myself, for her." Her honesty hit him like a stone. For years, Raymond had believed money solved everything. But in that moment, standing before this trembling woman and her invisible world of struggle, he felt poorer than ever. The decision. "Get up, Maria," he said softly. She hesitated, confused. He walked to the window, staring at the garden outside. "You don't have to leave." She blinked. "Sir. I saw everything," he admitted. "And I also saw what kind of mother you are. You're not lazy. You're just tired from carrying too much on your shoulders." Maria's eyes widened. "I'm not firing you," Raymond continued. "In fact, I'm increasing your salary, and I'll have a room prepared for you and your baby upstairs. You'll both stay here safely." For a long moment, she couldn't speak. Then she broke down crying again, but this time, it was relief. "Thank you, sir, thank you," she whispered, covering her face. Raymond turned away, hiding the tears that had welled in his own eyes. New beginnings. Over the following weeks, the mansion began to change. Where once there was silence, now there were giggles, baby cries, and the sound of life returning. Raymond would often pause his work just to watch Maria play with her daughter, little Isabella, in the garden. The baby's laughter filled the house like sunlight through dusty windows. Something inside him softened, something he hadn't felt since his wife's death. One evening, as Maria put Isabella to sleep, Raymond brought her a small wrapped box. She opened it to find a gold locket, engraved with the words, "You are not alone." Tears glistened in her eyes again. "Sir. I don't know what to say." "Say nothing," he replied. "Just promise me you'll take care of her, and yourself." She nodded. "I will, sir. I promise." The twist. Months passed. One rainy night, Raymond was going through old documents in his late wife's study when he came across something unexpected, a donation record from a small charity hospital in Mexico, signed by Maria Lopez. His heart skipped. He opened the file. Inside were photos and forms from nearly 10 years ago, a record of a young woman who had donated part of her liver to save a dying woman. Named Lillian Cole, his wife. Raymond's vision blurred. He dropped into the chair, trembling. Maria had saved his wife's life once, long before she ever came to work for him. The universe had brought her back into his home. He remembered his wife's words years ago, when she recovered, "There are angels among us, Raymond. Not with wings, but with hearts that shine." Now he understood. Epilogue. Raymond officially adopted Maria's daughter as his godchild. He helped Maria finish her education and promoted her to manage the household staff. The mansion that had once felt like a prison of glass now felt like a home. Every evening, when the sun set behind the hills, Raymond would sit on the porch, little Isabella on his lap, Maria beside him, and smile quietly to himself. Because sometimes, the people who seem small in our world are the ones who bring us back to life. And sometimes, the things we spy on end up showing us who we really are. Moral. Never judge someone's exhaustion, you never know what battles they're fighting when no one's watching. Compassion can reveal truths that money never will.